Join us now, Republican Congressman from Indiana, Marlin Stutzman. Congressman, appreciate you being here. What do you make of those comments from President Trump?
Anderson, great to be with you this evening. And I think that it's really a delicate balance here to be sure that we get the Strait of Hormuz secured, making sure, of course, that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. And also, there's things here at home that we have to address as well. Of course, gas prices are still on top of people's minds as they, are facing a higher prices. Republicans have done a really good job of course, focusing on affordability, but the president has a tough job, especially dealing with the IRGC, which continues to move the goalposts. But I'm hoping that this MOU sticks, and I believe that President Trump has done a remarkable job of bringing them to the table.
The president has said he thinks that the current regime is less radical than the previous. Do you think that's true?
Well, we'll see. The Ayatollah, of course, is dead. I believe that the son is likely dead as well, but we'll find out. This is a very brutal regime, one that has continued to show that they are zealots, that they're true believers, that they die for their beliefs. One of the things that I think is important too is that we keep, the relationship with Israel, that there's no daylight between the United States and Israel as we deal with this. Hezbollah is an extension of the IRGC, and they're all backed into a corner right now. So President Trump has them in a tough spot. We need to continue to put the pressure on and force them. Ultimately, I'd like to see the IRGC replaced, but that's a very difficult task, and it's going to take one that takes a broader coalition of countries working together to accomplish that.
Vice President Vance said this weekend's negotiations were very good. He said he got Iran to allow nuclear monitors in. Hours later, Iran said actually nothing will change, and the United Nations nuclear watchdog will not be entering the country. How does the U.S., I guess, move forward with these negotiations if this keeps happening? There's daylight between what the administration is saying, what the Iranians are saying.
Yeah, I think, again, they're so good at propaganda from the IRGC, and that we're going to have to continue just to move forward and do what it's going to take to be sure that they don't have nuclear capabilities. The IRGC is in disarray. Obviously, I'm sure there's a power struggle within their entire coalition or inside their leadership group. They've got a lot to figure out themselves. So I think that we've got the pressure on them. We need to continue to keep the pressure on, but making sure that the Strait of Hormuz is opened up for free flow of traffic is a really important piece to all of this as well, because it does affect our economy. And I know the IRGC knows they can use that against us, but making sure ultimately the first objective is no nuclear capability and keeping the Strait of Hormuz opened up for free flow is just as important. And the president is going to continue to put the pressure on wherever he can to make sure that happens.
I'm wondering what you're hearing from your constituents in Indiana. A new CBS News YouGov poll shows 78% of Americans said they prefer to end the war now. I know you told Fox earlier Republicans who don't like the president's handling of this need to, quote, just relax. Seems like a majority of Americans don't want to wait this out. What are you hearing in Indiana?
It's really mixed, Anderson. If you talk to folks who are older, north of 40 years of age, they tell me we got to finish the job. This has been going on too long. Iran has been at war with us since 1979 with the West. Also, younger people have a mixed opinion of it. And so I think that we have to do what's right and do the job that needed to be done for a long time. Obviously, it's going to be one of those things where we're going to have to walk and chew gum at the same time. We can still focus on the economic issues here at home that a lot of people are concerned about, and making sure that the results are accomplished in the Middle East with Iran. We've come this far. I just hate to see us lose any sort of ground, and making sure that Israel has the ability to defend itself against Hezbollah. Hezbollah is also a real problem, and Iran is using Hezbollah as leverage during these discussions. So the MOU is critically important. It's going to take some time, but I think we're on the right track.
That discussion of what happens to Hezbollah, that's been pushed basically down the road. That can has been kicked down the road, and Iran shows no sign of in any way cleaving itself from supporting Hezbollah.
Well, we've known for a long time that Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran, and they continue to attack Israel. That's where I believe that, Israel has to have the ability to defend itself. I was just on the northern border a couple of weeks ago, and saw where Hezbollah is attacking farmers there on the northern side of Israel. And if they're going to be killing, whether it's Israelis, Israeli soldiers, Israel has every right to strike back and to defend the country. So I think that that's one of the things that's important as the president goes through the negotiations. As I've been told by many folks in Israel, that President Trump has been the strongest president for Israel in a long time. And so I know that we're all on the same page. We're on, we want to see the outcome be, favorable for all of us involved, their safety and security there. And the president's leading, and I know that he's going to be sure that the job gets done right.
Congressman from Indiana, Marlon Stutzman. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andy.